All right, it's media day. We are talking 18-6A with Lamar head coach Michael Lindsey. Coach, before we get into this year, which is still, 3 months away, so you know how we jump on these things early. I wanted to talk a little bit about last year because Lamar's had some special years, obviously, in the past, but last year felt pretty good over the last couple of years. Not only was it undefeated regular season, but the amount of athletes that you had making special plays on both sides of the ball. And in my mind, the one that sticks out is the Ridge Point game where you really maybe weren't clicking, but you jumped on all the turnovers that you possibly could get and turned that into a victory. Talk about how proud you were of that team last year and how far they went.
Yeah, it was an incredible senior class. We had coached those kids, from ninth grade on, so we had them for 4 years, and it was just an awesome culture. And we really knew going into the year it was going to be special, and so it didn't surprise us when we had some early success and had some big wins. We had high hopes, and we were disappointed we didn't go farther. We certainly had a big matchup against Atascocita that didn't go our way, but it was a really fun team to coach, and the leaders on that team were tremendous. We had a lot of kids leave Lamar with opportunities in college. I think we had 20 kids signed from that group, and just a tremendous group of leaders, and one of my favorite years I've ever had coaching.
That's awesome to hear about the 20 players, first of all. But second of all, man, you lose guys like Justin Howard, Jordan Reed, Tristan Brown, super stud athletes. You're kind of used to this. You replace these guys left and right, but boy, that feels like such a blow to change. Who do we have in the works for 2024 that you would like to see step into those roles?
Well, I think the good news for us is that we're going to be really good up front. And so, our offensive line, I think, probably needs to lead the discussion about the 2024 Lamar Texans. And we've got three just superstar offensive linemen returning, and Dramad Odoms, who's one of the top tackles in the nation. Danny Stein is at center, and Danny's starting to get a lot of college attention. A couple offers this week, and Danny's a fabulous player at center. And then we have a junior, Jaden Cook, who is as good as you'll see at offensive guard. So we've got three special kids up front. We're going to have a great offensive line. And behind that, our only other returning starter on offense is our wide receiver, a 2026 kid, Enrico Moore Espinoza. And he really came on and had a great season. He was one of our offensive stars against Ridge Point in the playoffs last year. And so he's our playmaker returning. We have outside receiver Trey Douglas, who had a great season last year and is going to be one of our go-to guys. And he's a big receiver, and he's going to be a big-time college player. And then we also return Chasen Guidry as a running back, and Chasen scored 10 touchdowns last year, had close to 1,000 yards. So, we returned some depth for sure in our offensive backfield, and our quarterback is still an ongoing competition, but we feel good about that group too.
Who are the guys kind of competing for that job?
Yeah, we had two guys that were underclassmen that got varsity snaps last year, and so we had a lot of games where we were able to play a lot of guys on our roster, and so those two young men, Varice Young, who's going to be a senior, is a very capable quarterback, and he's really gotten better. And our other kid's kind of a great multi-sport athlete, Lawson Behan. Lawson's one of the top baseball players in the nation in the class of 2026, plays shortstop and pitcher. And Lawson is an excellent quarterback as well. And so both of those young men had playing time for us, and were able to get varsity snaps at quarterback. And then the third guy, Cade Mansour, is going to be a junior, and Cade really came on this spring. So we've got three right now that are really competing for that first spot. And then, we have another senior, Devontae Anderson, who's putting his name in the race. So, we left out of spring still without having that decision yet. And we're hoping to have that early in fall camp.
Before we switch to the district, talk about what you have for return on defense and who might stand out there.
Yeah, well, again, it's kind of like offense. It starts up front. We return two really talented defensive tackles in Chance Bloodsaw and DeMarcus Blackman. They're two as good as you'll see on the defensive interior line. And so we're really excited about that. In our secondary, Robert McFarland's going to be a safety that everybody will know. You know, we always produce great DBs. At corner, we've got Ken Abiyahe, who I think has got a chance. His ceiling is as high as any kid we've had at corner for us. And so, you know, there's some kids that, you know, weren't on all the highlights last year because they were rotating in and it might not have been a starter, but you know, we're going to be pretty solid there. And again, it'll start up front with the defensive line, and DeMarcus Blackman's a name that you'll see for sure. We couldn't block him all spring, and so I'm excited to see him next year just wreak havoc. He'll be a rising junior.
That's continue the excitement in your voice, Coach. And usually when I do these interviews, the first thing I hear from coaches is like, I don't know what's happening in the trenches. I'm kind of worried about that. And I'm not hearing that from you, which is a good thing.
Yes,
let's talk about this 18-6A. I guess what mainly changes, you got Wisdom in there, but still you're going to have to make your uniforms with those big targets on the back because you're always going to be the hunted. So looking at this district, is what do you see there, and how are you hoping to get through it?
Yeah, you know, we've got great coaches in our district, and you know, Coach Allen coming into West Side, he's going to do a great job. And last year was his first year, and West Side we know is going to be back. And Bel Air ended up, you know, I think finishing third last year, and they've got some good young talent. So I think our district's going to be better overall. Coach Dixon, he's got a good group at the Heights. With the senior class he has is really talented. So they're going to be tough. And you know, I expect it to be, you know, a deeper district than it was last year. And that said, you know, losing Westbury, I think Westbury is probably going to compete for a district championship in 5A in that district. So you know, that says a lot about, you know, where our district is. But it'll be interesting to see. You know, you know, I've got so much respect for our coaches in our district, and you know, they do a great job.
Well, it's going to be an interesting battle this year, and I'm looking forward to it. Of course, you guys got the Fordon district. Not a lot of 6A teams have 4 to find, but I'm sure you found them. And actually, you guys usually play the Woodlands, right? Maybe talk about the 4 teams you're playing in the non-district. Maybe not this year, huh?
No, we ended up, we've got 4 new opponents. And,
okay.
And certainly it right out of the gate, you'll see it'll be a really big challenge. So we start week 1 with Atascocita.
Whoa.
So we come right back out to our 3rd round matchup, trying to get revenge. And then week 2 is Summer Creek.
Okay.
And then week 3 is Clear Springs. And then week 4 is A-Leaf Elsik.
All right. So you're really challenging yourself right off the bat. Yeah. I like that. I like that. What you guys normally do anyway.
Yeah, we do. And our kids want that. And, you know, we've been wanting to play Summer Creek, and we hooked up with them, and also Clear Springs. And then, you know, with week 1, you know, I was having a hard time finding a game, and Atascocita was really a good matchup for us. So we're excited about that.
Most coaches would say, man, I got to find a game. There's Atascocita. Oh, let's hope he doesn't pick up the phone. Don't pick up the phone. And then he picks up and says, yeah, we'll play you. But no, with you guys, it's something you want. It's something you want. So that's good. Right. Well, we'll definitely have cameras at those first 2 games for sure, if not more, in non-district. And go ahead.
And listen, I you know, I always like talking about my kids too.
Yeah.
And one thing I got to talk about with this team coming up is you're going to be hard pressed to find a team with better specialists than us this year.
Oh wow.
We've got top 10 in the nation kicker, Eric Peters.
Okay.
And Eric is, you know, he's being recruited by Alabama, Michigan, Texas A&M a ton, and Eric he's a talented kid. I can see him being in the NFL one day. And then our long snapper, Cole Mansour, is also nationally ranked one of the best in the business. So our special teams is always really good, and these guys will be seniors next year, and so that's fun to talk about them. And they've been getting a lot of traffic with the coaches recruiting, so that's been fun.
That's awesome to hear. I like hearing people that will play on Sundays like that, so that's pretty cool.
Sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Coach, I appreciate you joining me, man, and we will catch up later on this year.
All right, thanks, Ward.